Have you ever been standing at a train platform and suddenly thought, what if I jumped? Or maybe you've looked at someone you love and had the terrifying thought, what if I hurt them? If so, you're not alone. Millions of people experience these shocking, unwanted thoughts. They're called intrusive thoughts, and the more we fight them, the more they stick. Today, we're diving deep into Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts by Sally M. Winston and Martin N. Seif, a practical guide to breaking free from these mental traps. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these thoughts happen, why your usual coping strategies backfire, and most importantly, how you can change your relationship with them to reclaim peace of mind. Chapter 1. Recovering from Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. Recovering from intrusive thoughts is not about eliminating them, but about transforming how we respond. Intrusive thoughts are strange, sometimes disturbing mental intrusions, such as violent images, blasphemous ideas, or shocking sexual scenarios. For most people, they pass quickly, but for some, the attempt to fight, suppress, or argue with them creates a vicious cycle. The more you struggle, the more the thoughts stick. The authors introduce 3 key inner voices that shape this struggle. Worried voice, always asking, what if? It anticipates disaster and exaggerates risk. False comfort tries to counter worried voice by offering reassurance, explanations, or distractions. But instead of helping, it fuels more doubt. Wise mind, calm, observant, and detached. It recognizes that thoughts are just thoughts. For example, someone might think, what if I strangle my kitten? Worried voice panics. False comfort argues back. Of course you'd never do that. But the debate spirals. Wise mind, however, would say, this is just a thought. It has no meaning or power. Learning to lean on wise mind reduces distress. The chapter also explores why thoughts get stuck. The famous "don't think about carrots" experiment shows that suppression makes thoughts rebound stronger. Intrusive thoughts often latch onto what we care about most. Violence for gentle people, blasphemy for the devout, or self-harm for those who want to live. They appear frightening because they violate core values. Understanding this truth is the first step to loosening their grip. Chapter 2. Varieties of Intrusive Thoughts. The authors detail the many forms intrusive thoughts can take, with real-life examples. Morally repugnant thoughts. These include violent urges, self-harm impulses, or forbidden sexual thoughts. A gentle mother may fear dropping her baby, or a religious person may hear blasphemous words during prayer. These thoughts cause pain because they clash with values. Big issue thoughts, endless questioning of life, reality, or faith. Examples include obsessing over the meaning of life, whether reality is real, or if one's beliefs are genuine. These are not philosophical curiosities, but anxiety-driven loops with no satisfying resolution. Nonsensical thoughts, irrational mental intrusions like imagining licking a dirty window or doubting whether you hit someone with your car, even when there's no evidence. These often lead to compulsive checking and reassurance seeking. Scrupulous thoughts, excessive guilt and moral self-criticism. Someone may obsess over whether they are selfish, whether they've prayed correctly, or whether they're ever doing enough to be good. Sexual orientation and identity fears. Thoughts such as, what if I'm secretly gay? Or what if I'm really straight? These aren't genuine explorations of identity, but fear-driven doubts that contradict known truths about oneself. Intrusive images and traumatic memories. Graphic images of accidents, humiliations, or disasters. These can be linked to trauma or triggered by media events. Worries and meta-worries. Some thoughts center on constant worry about one issue or many issues at once. Others take the form of worrying about worrying itself. By laying out these categories, the authors help readers see that no thought is unique or shameful. Recognizing that intrusive thoughts are widespread and harmless can already reduce their power. Chapter 3. What Thoughts Mean? Myths and Facts. One major source of distress is misinterpreting what thoughts mean. The authors dismantle 9 damaging myths. 1. Myth. Our thoughts are under our control. Reality. Thoughts arise automatically. We don't choose them. 2. Myth. Thoughts reveal our character. Reality. A violent thought doesn't mean you're violent. It likely means the opposite. 3. Myth. Thoughts show our true self. Reality. Thoughts are mental noise, not revelations. 4. Myth. The unconscious can make us act on thoughts. Reality. Intrusive thoughts are about over-control, not hidden impulses. 5. Myth. Thinking about something makes it likely to happen. Reality. Thoughts don't predict reality. 6. Myth. Thinking about something prevents it. Reality. Magical thinking doesn't protect against danger. 7. Myth. Only sick people have intrusive thoughts. Reality. Nearly everyone has them. Only the response differs. 8. Myth. Every thought is worth analyzing. Reality. Many thoughts are meaningless mental chatter. 9. Myth. Repeating thoughts are important. Reality. Repetition doesn't equal significance. Replacing these myths with facts shifts the relationship to thoughts. Instead of fearing them as signs of hidden danger, we see them as irrelevant background noise. Chapter 4. Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts Q&A. This chapter addresses the fears that sufferers most often ask. Does having a thought mean I want it? No. In fact, the opposite is usually true. Intrusive thoughts stick because they violate your values. Could I lose control and act on it? No. People with intrusive thoughts are overly controlled, not impulsive. The fear of acting out is an illusion. Am I going crazy? No. Intrusive thoughts are a common human experience. Millions of healthy people have them. Why can't I stop them? Because suppression fuels them. Fighting thoughts keeps them alive. This Q&A normalizes the experience and helps remove shame. Simply knowing that others share these struggles could be a relief. Chapter 5. How the brain creates intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are not proof of moral weakness. They're a brain process. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, learns to associate certain ideas with fear. When a triggering thought arises, the amygdala fires an alarm as if danger is real. This produces the first fear, an automatic jolt of anxiety. What happens next is crucial. If you react with resistance, self-criticism, or frantic reassurance, you add a second fear. This commentary amplifies the problem and locks the thought in place. The authors describe 2 cycles. Fear increasing cycle. Thought, alarm, resistance, more alarm, stuck thought. Fear diminishing cycle. Thought, alarm, acceptance, fading anxiety, thought passes. They also highlight distortions like thought-action fusion, believing thinking something makes it likely to happen, an intolerance of uncertainty, the desperate need to be 100% sure nothing bad will occur. These patterns explain why intrusive thoughts feel so real and so threatening. Understanding the brain's role provides relief. Intrusive thoughts are not moral failings, but neurological misfires. And just as the brain can learn to fear, it can also learn to let go. Chapter 6. Why Nothing Has Worked. By the time most people pick up this book, they've already tried dozens of strategies to rid themselves of intrusive thoughts. Unfortunately, those methods, though logical, backfire. The authors explain 3 main obstacles. 1. Sticky mind. When you're anxious, sleep-deprived, or stressed, thoughts tend to stick more easily. Your mind grabs hold of them and won't let go. 2. Paradoxical effort. The harder you try to push a thought away, the stronger it rebounds. Suppression fuels obsession. 3. Entanglement. Taking thoughts seriously, debating them, testing yourself, or analyzing them, keeps you entangled and convinces your brain they matter. Common failed strategies include self-reassurance, repeating, "I'd never do that," only sparks more doubt. Seeking reassurance from others. Asking loved ones to confirm you're safe or moral relieves anxiety briefly, but fuels the cycle. Prayer or rituals. These can morph into compulsions, used not for faith, but as defense against thoughts. Healthy living. While diet and exercise are good, they won't cure intrusive thoughts. Distraction or avoidance. Temporary relief only strengthens the belief that thoughts are dangerous. Even popular advice, just think positive, stay busy, don't worry, falls flat. The harder you try, the deeper you sink. The key realization is that intrusive thoughts can't be conquered by force. They fade only when approached differently. Chapter 7. How to handle thoughts when they happen. So what do you do when an intrusive thought strikes? The authors lay out 6 crucial steps. 1. Recognize. Notice the thought without judgment. Label it as just an intrusive thought. 2. Just thoughts. Remind yourself it's not a command, not a prophecy, just mental noise. 3. Accept and allow. Give it space. Stop pushing it away. 4. Float and feel. Let yourself experience the discomfort without reacting. Like floating on water, the less you struggle, the easier it is. 5. Let time pass. Anxiety naturally fades if you stop feeding it. 6. Proceed. Continue your activity. Live your life despite the thought. Enemies of acceptance, like guilt, why would I think that? Doubt, what if this means something? And urgency, I need this gone now. Keep the cycle alive. The authors stress using metaphors to reframe your experience. The intruder at the party, don't fight the uninvited guest. Let them linger in the background until they leave. Whack-a-mole, battling thoughts only makes them pop up stronger. Noisy neighbors, you can hear them, but you don't need to engage. Mud on the windshield, it may cloud your view temporarily, but you can still drive. The message is clear. Intrusive thoughts lose power when you stop treating them as dangerous and allow them to come and go. Chapter 8. Getting over intrusive thoughts for good. Recovery requires practice. You must retrain your brain through exposure, deliberately facing your thoughts instead of avoiding them. The authors call this plan practice. The process involves the 5 A's. 1. Attitude of acceptance. Approach thoughts with openness, not fear. 2. Assign accurate assessment. Recognize thoughts as harmless mental events. 3. Active allowance. Let them be there without suppression. 4. Avoid avoidances. Stop dodging triggers. Avoidance keeps fear alive. 5. Action anyway. Live fully, even if thoughts appear. Planned practice means intentionally summoning a feared thought and allowing the discomfort. For example, someone afraid of harming themselves might deliberately think, what if I stab myself, while holding a spoon instead of a knife? The goal isn't reassurance, but teaching the brain that thoughts don't equal danger. This process is backed by science. Through extinction learning and inhibitory learning, the amygdala rewires itself. Over time, the brain stops sounding alarms. Fear weakens. Thoughts fade into background noise. Incidental practice, using daily life triggers, reinforces this learning. Chapter 9. What does recovery mean? Recovery doesn't mean the total absence of intrusive thoughts. They may still appear, especially under stress, but their meaning changes. Instead of triggering panic, they become neutral background chatter. You no longer fear them, engage with them, or let them control your behavior. Setbacks are part of the journey. Sometimes old thoughts resurface. But rather than viewing this as failure, the authors encourage seeing it as another opportunity to practice acceptance. Each setback strengthens resilience. Recovery is measured not by the absence of thoughts, but by freedom from their tyranny. In practical terms, recovery looks like this. You have a disturbing thought, acknowledge it, let it pass, and keep living. It's a shift from fear and control to acceptance and freedom. Chapter 10. When to seek professional help. For most people, the tools in this book are enough. But there are situations when professional help is necessary. Invited thoughts versus intrusive ones. If disturbing thoughts feel desirable rather than unwanted, this may signal a different problem. Genuine suicidal intent. Real suicidal urges require immediate professional intervention. True pedophilic interests or violent impulses. If thoughts are not distressing but tempting, professional help is essential. Loss of perspective. If you can't distinguish intrusive thoughts from reality, outside support is critical. Severe hopelessness or agitation. If thoughts lead to overwhelming despair, seek help immediately. Therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and exposure and response prevention, ERP, are effective. Medication may also help in some cases. The message is that you don't have to suffer alone. Support is available. Intrusive thoughts may feel like the worst-kept secret of your mind, terrifying, shameful, and impossible to control. But the truth is, they're universal, harmless, and most importantly, beatable. As Winston and Seif show, the key is not to fight your thoughts, but to change your relationship with them, to recognize them, allow them, and move forward anyway. Recovery takes courage, patience, and practice, but it is possible. And remember, you are not your thoughts. If you found this summary helpful, subscribe for more deep dives into life-changing books. And most importantly, remember, thoughts are just thoughts. They do not define you.